Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning. Welcome to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. It's World Building Wednesday. So we're going to be talking about world building, and basically we're going to be continuing our discussion of yesterday, or continuing our work from yesterday, working on some NPCs, which is the final part of the Tales of Rabivania world primer. I'm still recovering from last night. Once again, last night went very long, which I love, but I'm encountering overall the difficulty of having two nights, Tuesday and then Friday night, where I can potentially go very long. And then that does impact the next day. It does impact the next day. I was up this morning. I did spend a couple of hours working on the world primer, but then I did go back to bed. So biphasic sleep again. I was up, so work got done. Last night, if you don't know, Doug and Brianna and I were talking about the Dark Knight. So once again, we go deep. So Brianna was back. Everybody likes that, and everybody loves Doug as well. So it was great. Definitely recommend. Now, see, I've got to come up with some way to clip to get more clips done. It takes a long time to clip videos, but I have a feeling that if we start getting some clips out there, like 8 to 12 minutes on some of the things that we've been talking about as far as story analysis and movie analysis, people will also watch those. People tend to like the clips. I just have to be able to do them, and I've got other things going on at the moment. But I highly recommend last night's discussion on The Dark Knight. It was great. Hey, BGD. Good morning. You know, the reason that I do that is I used to just talk to Brianna about stories like that. So I was like, why don't we just make that part of something? She and I are meeting this afternoon. We got to look at our scripts. But we used to just talk together. We're like, why don't we make this a part of Table Talk and do a stream, and then share it with everybody and bring everybody else into the discussion as well, which is great. But I basically look on those things as a graduate seminar in storytelling when we all have these discussions. Basically for me, that's part of education. So it's like a seminar in storytelling, story structure, story analysis to facilitate my own storytelling, and Brianna's as well. Well, and Doug does that as well. So that's basically what it is for us. So come and join us. Absolutely. Zero the Blade. Good morning, Zero the Blade, and James and Mike. Hello, channel members. James says, I think we need a bat race in honor of last night. Sable Phoenix says, last night was very interesting. Getting 3 analytical minds to dig into something and bounce off each other is so cool. James says, yeah, stayed up to way past my bedtime to see it through to the end. Yeah, I stayed up past my bedtime too. I got to figure this out. Good morning, Neutromancer and Draco and Spud. Oh, good morning, Spud. So let's breathe and sip here. I've got water this morning, some ice water. I need it. So let's breathe and sip. 2 deep inhales and then a complete exhale, and then let's breathe. So and then take a sip. So here we go. There we go. Let's see. I'm going to leave a link here for the Ravenkeep Discord server. So if you are looking for the development of the Tales of Rabivania and you find us here, please do come in here. Decaf in the microwave, Neutromancer says. We can also, I also go ahead and put a link to the Goodnight Sword Kickstarter, which did wrap up. The Goodnight Sword Kickstarter has wrapped up, but the link is still there. I'm still putting the link there because there is a link on here. If you missed it, Goodnight Sword, the first book out in Rabivania. I'm going to send out the surveys to everybody to get your shipping address. My plan is at the end of this week. But some people have said I would like a late pledge. I'm not using a pledge manager because this is going to be a quick turnaround thing. I mean, basically, Kickstarter has just finalized all the pledges, so I can send out a survey, get everybody's shipping address or any other information that I need from you, and then when that comes in, well, then I can turn around and I can send out books. So no need to go through a pledge manager and no need to spend also months and months and months waiting between the Kickstarter and fulfillment. We're going to be we're moving right here very quickly, but there were a few people who did miss it and they didn't, and they really wanted to be in on it. So if you wanted to be in on Goodnight Sword, click request late pledge, and then I will send you a direct invoice when I send out these surveys, and then your awards will go out with the Kickstarter awards as well. So check out Goodnight Sword. It's of course a takeoff of Goodnight Moon. So if you're a geek who likes medieval stories and you want to share that with somebody, another child, whether that's your child or whether it's a cousin, a younger cousin or a niece or a nephew, and you want them to be interested in medieval stories, please check out Goodnight Sword. And of course, the animated audiobook is here as well. Oh, I didn't put it actually up on screen. Sorry. So I meant for this to be up on screen while that was up. Okay. Herbal tea. Sable Phoenix has herbal tea. So what else is going on? Is there anything else I need to say? I want to do a members only stream. Like I was planning on doing that tonight. But see, the long streams are wrecking today. Brianna and I have a meeting. I still like to have a members only stream, and I would like to make those streams kind of like discussions and also self accountability and things like that. I was thinking that I could even like put the StreamYard link, put the link to come on out to channel members and see how that goes. See if that works well to have people on the stream. But I also kind of would be kind of a hangout kind of a stream. So I would like to do that. Move the member stream. James says, move the member stream. Take tonight off. Maybe I could see. Well, yeah. Well, is anything going on tomorrow? What is going? Today's Wednesday. I don't have anything tomorrow night. Maybe it would be better to do it tomorrow night then. Yeah, that might be better. That might be better. That way, it's not just all sitting on top of each other. I was thinking that Wednesday would be good, but yeah, the late night Tuesday makes things hard. Or we may just have to get Tuesday under control. I don't really want to. I like being able to go at it and go deep into a topic on Tuesdays. So if it were more under control, then Wednesday night be a good one. But yeah, actually, maybe let's do it tomorrow night. Everything will be much more covered by tomorrow night. Let's do that. We'll do a hang up. Yeah, self-care and accountability as a member stream tonight might be unintentionally ironic. Yeah, maybe. Andrew says, good morning, late night. You really work hard. Get up early and grinding away until late. Good job. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to, I had a fantastic meeting about Rabivania on Monday. That was, I had mentioned. And I'm really excited. I've got so much writing I've got to do. But I got to do writing and I got to do publication work because I want this RPG to come out. But I was thinking yesterday about other things to put out with this RPG book because this book is just about done, so we can go to layout. I was finishing the copy edits of other parts this morning. Rabivania. But there's some other things I want to experiment with. Other kinds of products that could go along with it. And that we can continue to, here it is. And that we can continue to use and iterate through different worlds. That may be a bit vague, but like a second book, other things that can be done on print on demand. I want to look into that a lot more. So this is what I was proofreading this morning. But we are going to go down here to Raccoon. We had started with Raccoon, but basically just started. So I'm going to go back to the top of Raccoon here. So we got raccoons, rat, snake, squirrel, and weasel to make sure are right. Now, this is all that we're doing 5th E stats right now. But then one thing I want to do is create stats for Pathfinder. So I think that doing a Pathfinder stats, once we got the stats for 5E, then we can take them and we can convert them to Pathfinder. And I'm also thinking on this Easy D6. I was trying to think what systems would be good. Like if there were 3 systems to do Rabivania in. Okay, 5E is an obvious choice because there's so much out there. And now there are all the 5E different clones and variations and stuff like that. But if you have a 5E book, then you can turn it into a lot of the other variations probably. So 5E needs to, so 5E makes sense. Pathfinder 2nd E, obviously that makes sense as well. But then what's the third one that we should do? I was kind of thinking, as I was like, what's the third most popular RPG that people might be interested in Rabivania in? It could be Easy D6. And the reason I'm thinking about that one's not, that one, I don't know how big that one is, except for it does, of course, it's created, through YouTube. So it has a YouTube audience, but also I remember when I was reading it, I was like, I feel like I could play this with my, my younger nephews. So it seems like kind of a game that'd be like, oh, well, we should be able to apply those rules. Or if we were able to apply the easy D6 rules to Rabivania, then it might be a very easy kind of RPG to run for children. And then also, I understand that it's also a widely used like beer and pretzel style game. So if you just want beer and pretzel, that seems like good two styles that Rabivania could work for. Either set up the RPG for kids who are enjoying the Tales of Rabivania, or for kinds of beer and pretzels gaming. DGD says Easy D6 is an excellent indie choice, simple, elegant, and fun. Yeah, I think we're going to try that. But this will allow me to get one book moving on. James says, do you edit your own work? I have been editing my own work, yes. As a former copy editor, I recommend pass it under someone else first. I used to do that when I was doing academic articles, and in a perfect world, I would probably send it to an external copy editor. Well, James says, former, I still copy edit. It's just infrequent and independent now. Well, I may talk to you about that. Because it would be nice to send it to somebody externally. Call of Cthulhu is the number 2 RPG. I know that. Call of Cthulhu is? I don't think it makes sense to take Rabivania and put it into Call of Cthulhu. And also, it could be basic role playing. I mean, you could do that, but we were underwhelmed, or I was underwhelmed with basic role playing when we were looking at that, because we thought that the Call of Cthulhu rules were better, and we haven't actually gotten to go through the main Call of Cthulhu rule book yet, but we did look at the starter box. And we kind of thought those rules were better. I was kind of surprised that it was an older rule set that was actually available as for basic role playing. I thought that was kind of strange, because it didn't seem as elegant. So I would, well, of course, I mean, how elegant is 5e? So I guess maybe that's not really a thing. But I guess it could be. But I thought that was a clunkier system than I really wanted it to be, that they had made available under the orc. Andrew says something for families might be nice. I don't have kids, so guessing here. Well, I'll message you, James. That's I'll message you. Thank you. I tend to operate around here by making sure that people are paid for their work. I don't have extra cash right now. But I'll talk to you. Thank you, James. Says Neutromancer says the engine of COC is used for other stuff like Eclipse Phase. Okay, I don't know that one. So Sable Phoenix says, surprisingly enough, yes, COC is number 2, and I think Pathfinder is number 3. First edition Pathfinder, not Pathfinder second edition. It's basic role playing. Well, I still kind of think Easy D6 might be a good fit for the third slot here. But that's interesting. I still think it's a bizarre choice what they did with basic role playing. BGD says, with the recent release of Easy D6's book of quests, Easy D6 now has an open license. Right, I noticed that. Easy D6 license to support third-party content. You should get in touch with the author, DM Scotty, a really great guy. He has a Discord. Yes. Because I was looking, when we went over Easy D6 on the morning grind it's been a little while, but when we looked at Easy D6, I noticed that it did not have any type of open license. But following him on YouTube, I saw that probably a bit more than a couple of weeks ago now. But since then, I saw a YouTube video where he had put Easy D6 under an open license. And so that made me think about Rabivania then. So that's my thinking. I'm also thinking. I was thinking as when I get this edited and then go to layout. I was kind of thinking that this would be a black and white interior, and I got to make sure that when they say black and white for the printers from the printing service, are they talking about black and white as in actual black and white, or are they talking about grayscale? Because our example product here is in grayscale. But another part of me is like, well, this is an important book. This will be an important book for all of them. The primer, the world primer, this will be an important book for all of them. So it'll be a little bit more expensive to do it in full color. But I'm like, is it worth it? This is scope creep. This is a little bit of scope creep. But I'm like, is it worth doing like a full color layout? Because that would, the advantage to that, because this is the world book. So you've got Goodnight Sword, which kind of shows the world. But if you're trying to get somebody interested in the world, a full color book would be nice. But also if I'm trying to explain Rabivania to somebody as one of the worlds that's being built, having a color book might be really good. So I don't know. We'll see. White ink in black paper, like white ink in black paper, like Batman. Call of Cthulhu is also a bit more elegant than D&D and Pathfinder, and I love Pathfinder. See, that's what I think. Yeah, but see, I don't want to have to lay this out twice. Stretch goals are complicated because I don't want to have to lay this out twice. Because as Sable Phoenix says, as someone whose first job was print layout, no printer is going to say black and white and mean grayscale. They're two distinct settings. That's what I think. But it strikes me as odd. The only reason that I want to confirm that, because I think that's true, but the only reason that I think that's odd is because print would be print on demand. I'm looking at print on demand. So is there not a black and white section, or do they just have to charge if you want it black, if you want it grayscale? Is that just color? Do they call that just color? So I want confirmation about that. Hey, Sarah. Andrew says, for you, do you learn about worlds from this type of book, or do you learn about the properties first and then seek out the game versions? For me, what do I do? Well, I think I've got some examples of ones. Well, first of all, I don't see a whole lot of people putting out smaller world books, like world primers. So like Ruins of Simbaroom over here, we need to look at that some more. I wanted to look more at that setting, but that's some serious chunk of books over there. I guess I've got examples of where I like the Midgard. That's a big, thick book, but I encountered that by being run through it by somebody else. So I'm not sure. For what it's worth, I say spend your publishing money for color print on the main rule book, not extra lore. Sending a job to layout and then print is very specific. Color is important. RBG values are there for a reason. We use them. Or CMYK. Yeah. Well, Kickstarter can be done earlier before the actual layout. Most people send drafts before that. Yeah, but I'm kind of in the camp where I want to try anyway to have basically the Kickstarter be like 95% of the way done. Like the products be 95% of the way done or more before the Kickstarter opens. Okay. Let's look at here. I'm going to go back over Raccoon, and we just started Raccoon Warrior. So let's start from the beginning here. I'm going to think about it. I'll think about it because also if I need more color stuff, once I get to layout, I need to find out where I'm going to put illustrations, and I'm going to try to get. Hopefully, Adam is available. Adam Botsford, who did the illustration for Goodnight Sword, and I probably should have talked to him before now. But I need to know exactly what I would need if I'm in a situation where he's going to make some more colored art for us. See, that's what I think. So it surprises me that it's not listed, that grayscale isn't listed someplace. It doesn't say something like using the color costs also for grayscale or something. Okay, so raccoon. I'm gonna have to get more water here in a moment. Okay, so we said here's what the raccoons were trying to represent. Raccoon. The raccoons live in a tribal society on the borders of Rabivania. The rabbits regard the raccoons as barbaric and backwards, but nonetheless, the raccoons are one of the main military threats the rabbits face. Much of the raccoon's wealth is accumulated by raiding the lands of others, including Rabivania and even the raccoon tribes. Almost all adult males in a raccoon tribe are outfitted with spear and shield, are expected to serve as warriors when the tribe musters for battle. Receiving one's spear and shield is an important milestone in the life of a raccoon because it marks the point at which the raccoon is no longer a kit, but now a boar fully grown, taking on the attendant privileges and obligations, especially serving as a warrior when necessary. Better equipped raccoons will add a helmet to their war gear and other miscellaneous pieces of armor they have scavenged from fallen foes. When a tribe assembles its able-bodied boars for war, the vast bulk of warriors form a horde of irregular tribal infantry. Raccoon society does, however, have a small body of professional full-time warriors. Each tribal chieftain is served by a number of elite warriors called huskarls. These warriors are much better armed and armored and serve as the chieftain's household guard. They accompany him into battle as his personal bodyguard. Also, being that they are always in readiness, they are dispatched to handle threats that a small body of capable warriors can handle without having to mobilize the entire tribe. To maintain their loyalty, the chieftain assures these warriors are well supplied and shares with them much of the loot captured while on campaign. The raccoons also have a strong shamanistic tradition. The shamans are often regarded as bizarre figures operating at the edge of raccoon society, but they nevertheless perform critical functions for the tribe, such as coming-of-age rites, ritual purification after battle, and guiding others on spirit quests. Raccoon shamans also advise chieftains and serve as augurs to read portents. Some shamans can come to be the real political authority in a tribe because of their influence over the chieftain. Some warlike raccoons become berserkers, particularly vicious warriors who charge into battle, often unarmored, and are known for their brutality, lack of fear, and disregard for pain. The shamans are instrumental in putting the berserker into their blood rage before combat by dyeing their fur blue with woad, chanting rhythmically, and even providing them with hallucinogenic potions. Whereas Rabivania's feudal structure allows them to muster large armies, the raccoons are much more politically fragmented. Individual raccoon warlords have but a fraction of such military might under their control. However, a warlord with sufficient force of will and personality to unify the raccoons would change the balance of power in the land and be a considerable threat to Rabivania. Adult male raccoons are called boars, adult female raccoons are called sows, raccoon children are called kits, a group of raccoons is called a gaze, and the term is often used for a tribal subunit. So that one's a bit longer entry, but as the main bad guys, they deserve it. So there's an important entry in the world primer. So we had just started then. Andrew says, I think black and white art can be striking. If it's a good price break, I say stick with black and white. Splash out on a very fancy color cover, but don't worry about the guts. Yeah, the cover, I was thinking about what I want the cover to be. Because like if there's just one thing going to be commissioned like that, then it needs to be the cover. Necromancer says, Neutromancer says, I have an old printer that didn't have black ink. It used all the other colors to do black. It was expensive and pretty bad. If you want to keep the raccoons as a tribal group, I would shrink down their size a bit. As you said yesterday, you're not being strict on the real world adoption. Also makes toys easier. Yeah, so they're all about the same size with the toys. Here's the Huskarl. So for the toys, yeah, I'm not trying to represent a much larger raccoon or something like that. Let's see. Where is one? Here is our raccoon tribal warrior. And you can see how he compares to the size of one of the knights. They're very similar. Solo. So here is Sir Merrick. And then here is one of our raccoon tribal warriors. So this is our basic raccoon kind of foot soldier right here. And he does have a shield, but it's sitting over there because these are the non-articulated prototypes. So he's got a shield, like a square wicker kind of shield, although there are also round shields that they can have and so forth. So from the toy perspective, from the action figure perspective, there you go. You got rabbits and you got raccoons. But from the art, I mean, that can vary with the RPG. Look at that little raccoon guy. Who did the sculpts for you? Was that you? No, I painted these guys, but I didn't sculpt them. The sculptor, his name is Adrian Melton, and he also worked on the Game of Thrones action figures, so he really knew what he was doing. Here is the Huskarl. Raccoon Huskarl right here. So yeah, I was very glad to have Adrian work with me because he understood articulation. I didn't have to design the articulation. He already knew, he knew what he was doing. So I sent him all the designs for what they need to look like. I had all of the concept art from Adam. And then he took it and made those. It's also good to maybe establish that you are fudging the real world adaptation to help adjust people's expectation. Yeah, it could be. James says they're so nice. Yeah, they are. They are. They're really nice. I really want them to exist. The expense. I was talking about the expense of the molds on Monday with people. Yeah, he did. And how they can get done, how I can get that, how I could get that money to get the molds made and then keep going with them. Because I think they're going to be excellent. I think they're going to be excellent. But also I was thinking about this. We're kind of all over the place, but Disney's Robin Hood. One of the inspiration, of course, lots of inspirations come together for Rabivania, but 1973 Disney's Robin Hood. Disney's Robin Hood is a bit more lighthearted. Did I consider other labels for the raccoon besides a tribe? It sounds indigenous, but the toy looked not so. No, they're like Germanic tribes. They're like the Germanic tribes above Rome. But in some way, if you were, I'm still recovering from last night. But when you're talking about sizes, that's what we're talking about here. So, there is, I use this as some inspiration for these. So they are also, so here is a bear and here is the badger. Now I don't have a bear because that's too large. But so Robin and Marion are foxes, snake, lion. They're kind of, I was thinking they do have a mouse in here, and I think they do make the mouse rather small. But when they animate this, they have all of the characters be somewhat of comparable size in order to interact with one another. I do like these guys as the look of the rabbits here. But so I would do a little bit of that. I'm trying to stay away. So here's the Lady Cluck, the chicken. I'm trying to stay away with some of that by not having something like a bear. Okay, a bear, an elk. You know, those are still bears and elks, and so they are just this much larger creatures than the rabbits and mice are. But generally speaking, having most of the races that interact with one another. Generally speaking, having them about the same size anyway, so they can at least sort of pass the pass muster as being similar sized. Let's see. Yeah, I've only read one Redwall book. I remember Redwall came out when I was working on this a long time ago when I was a kid. That last paragraph on names feels extra to me. Would it work better in that info in the text above? It could just be me. I had been putting like naming down here, maybe, but like on all of them, I had put like just a last little note at the end on what you call, because they're bucks and does. Rabbits are bucks and does, and everything has their. So maybe you can go someplace else, or maybe that's put in like a call out box or something like that. Maybe that's not put in the main text. Maybe that information is put someplace else in some kind of text box or something. The one that I read I enjoyed it. It was Martin the Warrior. I read Martin the Warrior. But yes, also Redwall. Now when I was reading Martin the Warrior, it seemed like he had a lot of creatures that were a lot of different kinds of creatures that were sentient and were running around and talking. And I have less. So, okay, so Raccoon Warrior. Oh, so that's what we were saying, that maybe we should look at a half orc perhaps as a species, as a D&D species analog here. So we're saying basic Raccoon Warrior. So this is kind of the guy who we're representing here. Now, I don't have him with a spear right now. I don't have him with a spear. He's got a spear, but he's just not in this prototype set up to hold a spear. So this is the kind of guy we're making a stats for right here. This guy is a bit more heavily armored, though, because he would have a spear. He would have his shield with him. But obviously, he's also found some mail up here to put over his shoulders. And he has a basic helmet here. So another version of this guy could have throwing axes. So this guy would have an axe and one of his wicker shields. So basic Raccoon Warrior. There we go. It seems like, oh no. Sorry about that. Sorry. Well, I don't know when I don't know when I lost me. I tell you, man, I am just not with it this morning. So anyway, we were just talking about using the half orc. I was about to look up the half orc. Hardy, I think that giving them advantage on Constitution instead of driving up, and we could drive up their con. But on the other hand, giving them advantage to Constitution, that goes with the eating out of the garbage and the scavenger kind of thing, because they're also raiders. The warrior has advantage on all wisdom checks related to their sense of smell. Let's see. So what is it that half orcs have? Half orc. So what are key half orc abilities? That might be ported over. That also gives the, if you're thinking about half orcs, okay, I mean, the half orcs are also medium creatures, but they're beefier. So I also just skipped all references to alignment in here rather than dealing with alignment. I don't suppose that I would put alignment in, but this is, I'm not trying to redo 5th edition here, so I just didn't put anything about alignment in this world primer. So interestingly, they do have half orc has dark vision, menacing. You gain proficiency in the intimidation skill. We were so you gain proficiency in the intimidation skill. So we could give them that. Relentless endurance. When you are reduced to 0 hit points but are not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. You can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. That seems like something the Berserker should have. Savage attack. When you score a critical hit with a melee weapon attack, you can roll one of the weapon's damage dice 1 additional time and add it to the extra damage of the critical hit. Sarah says, I would give raccoons high intelligence cleverness. Badgers sound more like orc warriors to me. Raccoons sound like artificers and thieves. I was thinking about badgers. I haven't developed badgers yet. I've been trying to keep the number of like sentient creatures relatively low, but I was thinking about badgers, and we talked about beavers as well, but we'll see. Do raccoons have blacksmiths or just pillage weapons? They have pretty useful hands in the real world. I'm having them mainly pillage weapons, so that's why I only have. They may create some, but they don't do as much metal work. So mainly they scavenge it. That's why I gave the Huskarl and the. I've got the. The Jarl over here as well, and he has a sword, but I intentionally made it a sword that looks like it's kind of from a different culture, so it's like a sword of a Rabivanian knight, and that way it looks like it's probably something that he has taken. So this is our chieftain, the Jarl, right here. So he's scale armor on. So he's the only one who's armored, because they have the less less metallurgy, but he's armored. But then again, he's their leader, so he's armored and he's got a sword. And I made it so that, or we made it with Adrian, so that they've actually got a sheath that they can put their weapons into. James says the word for raccoon in Dutch translates to wash bear because they wash their food. They need to be doing that too, yeah. Yes, yes, they're so cool. I went in, I did a lot of work getting these sculpted and ready to get to this point, and then the whole project didn't get underway like I wanted it to, but that's all right. We're still working on it. Okay, sent actions. So we've got a spear attack right here. So in other cases, I would give him one of these bearded axes, one of the paw axes. But this is just one example. So this is just one example of the raccoon warrior. With the raccoon berserker, then. So raccoon berserker, medium creature, armor class 14, shield +2 dex, hit points 71. So what did I say here? That was challenge rating 4. So the berserker is rough, but should be. Hit speed 30 feet, climbing speed as well. So strength, go ahead and make him strength 18, dex 14 +2, con 13 +1. Intelligence, drop his intelligence down. Wisdom 12 +1, and then charisma 8 -1. Skills, athletics +6, perception +3, survival +3, dark vision, passive perception. So a lot of the raccoon racial stuff. Hardy, so he would get hardy. The berserker would get advantage on all saving throws related to constitution. Scent, the berserker has advantage on all wisdom checks related to their sense of smell. Multi-attack, the berserker makes 2 attacks with his battle axe. Battle axe, melee weapon attack +6 to hit. Reach 5 feet, 1 target. Hit for D10, D8 +4 slashing damage. So we'd use strength over here. Strength would be +4, so that's where we're getting 6. Okay, 6 here. We're checking on that. +4 right here. Javelin for ranged attacks as they're coming in. Ranged attack +5 to hit. Range 30, 120 feet, 1 target. Hit 7 points of damage. That looks low. 1d6 +4. 1d6 +4. Yeah, and I guess that's okay. So 7 points of damage. The terminology you're using from the raccoons is Saxon Viking, but the descriptions sound more like Gauls or Celts from Roman times. Yeah, so I've taken inspiration from like the Germanic tribes. Like for a long time, the raccoons have been like the Germanic tribes above Rome. But then, yes, I did use, they've got Huskarls and they've got Jarls. Wash bear seems much less offensive than trash panda. Yes. No, I didn't know that. Interestingly, raccoons wash their food not to clean it, but because their paws are more sensitive in water somehow, and they're checking it for any inedible parts. Huh. Yeah, I'll think about that. Because James says, that's very interesting. I brought up wasbear because I thought they might add to the flavor of the race if Heath chooses to use it. The raccoons are Norse style. Dutch would fit. That could be the name for them. So it would be interesting if that were something like their name for themselves. I'll think about that. Because the rabbits have a name for themselves in their own language. So the raccoon should as well. Have I seen the video of the raccoon getting a donut from a dry? I have not. Reckless attack. The berserker can choose to attack recklessly, gaining advantage on melee weapon attack rolls using strength, but attack rolls against it have advantage until the start of its next turn. Rage. As a bonus action, the berserker can enter a rage, gaining advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws, dealing an extra 2 damage on melee weapon attacks using strength and gaining resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. The rage lasts for 1 minute or until the raccoon warrior is knocked unconscious. The warrior may not use this ability again until after he has finished a long rest. So actually, I don't think that the relentless endurance would go here. Why don't we give because he's got rage. He's got reckless attack and rage. What if we gave the Huskarl? He's got reckless attack. What if we do savage attack over here? Savage attack. When you score a critical, when the Huskarl scores a critical hit with a melee weapon attack, he can roll one of the weapon's damage dice one additional time and add it to the extra damage of the critical hit. Spending a lot of page count here on raccoons, but this should give you a lot of potential different raccoon variety for bad guys. It feels like the raccoon berserker should have you gain proficiency in the intimidation skill. Does he have intimidation? No, he needs it though. Intimidation. Good morning, PH. Good to see you. Okay, so Berserker gets the intimidation skill. I think it's too much to have to give them relentless endurance in here for that Berserker, because in order to get him out of his rage, you got to knock him unconscious. So that would keep him up for rage. So that's probably not something that he should have. The Huskarl then. Raccoon Huskarl, medium creature. Armor class 18. So he's got scale armor and a shield. +2 dex. Now, see, I think I gave him a sword. Yeah, okay, I gave him a short sword as if he had scavenged it. Or, it's probably a Rabivanian short sword or something. So, Raccoon Huskarl. What challenge rating is this? 3. Berserker. Challenge rating 4. Berserker had 71 hit points. That's 110 hit points. Okay, that's something that's got to be changed. That seems like way too many. Relentless is annoying for monster blocks. They just wouldn't go down. Yeah. Andrew says, I would drop shield wall. Seems to go against the undisciplined nature of them. Also, they already have plenty of bonuses. So, let's see. For Huskarl, shield wall, shield bash. The Raccoon Huskarl can use a shield to provide cover to itself and one adjacent ally. When in this formation, the Raccoon Huskarl and the ally each gain +2 bonus to AC against ranged attacks. I can definitely see that. The warrior didn't have that, did he? Okay, he did not. I think that was included earlier with the thinking that, well, I was seeing them. Yeah. Another window yelling at me. Okay. That they were operating in. Because I was seeing them, beating their shields and weapons and operating like their warriors operating in a shield wall with their spears going over the top of it. But yeah, so he does have a lot here. So the standard warrior does not. Yeah, let's remove that from Huskarl. Let's save that. I'm gonna take a snapshot though. So the Huskarl has multi-attack, makes 2 attacks with his javelin when used in melee, or 2 attacks with his short sword. Javelin, ranged weapon attack, short sword, shield bash, reckless attack. See, I think they don't need reckless attack. Savage attack is probably pretty good. Because if you want reckless, you go berserker. Yeah, he's got reckless attack and rage. So I want to make sure they're differentiated. So savage attack on his side is probably pretty good. Yeah, Sable Phoenix says that's a beefy armor class even for CR3. Armor class 18. And ridiculous. But scale armor, shield, +2 dex. So maybe he needs to move up in challenge rating. So Berserker, challenge rating 4. Yeah, so there's probably, I need to look this up. So I'm going to say yes. So adjust. There's tables someplace, right, about recommended armor class and recommended hit points for a creature. Adjust for CR3. Probably in the DMG. We can go find it. And also adjust for CR3 here. That just seems like way too many. I don't know where that came from. Average AC for a 3 creature is only like 13 or 14, I think. Yeah, at 71 hit points. I don't want you to be grinding away on this guy forever. Depends on the armor. A guard is like 1/8 CR and has an AC 16. Sable Phoenix says, my favorite resource for designing monsters using the actual math of 5e instead of CR is a blog of Holdings monster manual on a business card. Do we need to go look that up? Monster manual on a business card? Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's look at this. Andrew says, do you list out all the languages somewhere together? I can see having a bunch of them to add flavor, but just giving them common might streamline it. For right now, I'm streamlining it, especially since I'm trying to get just fit a getting started world primer into this. So so I just skipped language. So in a later book, later, if everything goes well, I'll develop the world book into something like this. Well, then there's time to talk about language and that, but we're really short on page counts. Let's bring up this monster manual on a business card. Because we do need some help here. So monster manual on a business card. Lately, I've been doing some statistical analysis on D&D 5e's monsters to see how they're built, and I learned some interesting things. The DMG monster creation guidelines don't work as expected. Monster design, well, that's fantastic to know. The 5e monster creation guidelines are wrong. So it didn't even get its design internally right. Monster design formula have stayed stable from book to book, and many of these complexities of the official monster design process don't significantly affect its outcome. Today, let's come up with a simple... Right, so I just put raccoon on there. Right, right. I didn't like have a list out that says all the different possible languages and what the languages are and what they sound like or what region they're spoken. I just put common, and then like raccoons would have their own language. I was just trying to keep that simple, so I put raccoon in there. But languages can be treated much more in depth later. Okay, today let's come up with simple instructions for creating monsters in line with the monster manual, replacing the faulty instructions in the D&D. DMG, the way I think of it, we can streamline the process. The Dungeon Master's Guide has 9 pages on monster creation. I think they can fit key rules on 1 page or even a business card. That way you can create new monsters on the fly, not a laborious game prep chore. Oh, well, that's interesting. Here's the finished business card. Okay, well, this is going to help us out. First of all, to reiterate what I learned in the previous post, real monsters have fewer hit points and do less damage than those created by the DMG chart and are more accurate. 2, there is no significant correlation between any major monster stat, HP, AC, attack bonus, and any other stat. For instance, you might expect that a monster whose AC is high for its challenge rating should have lower hit points, attack bonus, or damage output to compensate. That's not the case. Therefore, we can examine each monster stat separately without having to consider the others at the same time. Interesting. Attack bonus. Here is a scatter plot of the attack bonuses of all the Monster Manual and Morkenkind's monsters. The black line is the best fit line. For a comparison, the red line is a plot of the Dungeon Master's Guide suggested attack bonuses. Oh, that is also interesting. So as you can see, the scatter plot shows us a nice, straight, easy, graphable, best fit line. It works out to almost exactly attack bonus is equal to 4 plus 1/2 CR. So tidy. It's almost if the designers designed it that way. Hint, I think they did. While the DMG graph is arbitrary and inaccurate, actual monster design shows signs of being very carefully put together. Well, that's a plus for 5e. A note about CRs below 1. These complicate things. For the purposes of drawing graphs, I think of them as negative numbers instead of fractions. 1/2 is really 0. A quarter is -1. An eighth is -2. CR0 is -3. So the way the linear values on the attack graphs work out, that's the way I've graphed it. Let's see. So DC, the difficulty class is similarly neat. In fact, the graph is identical to the attack bonus. Nearly every monster's DC is their attack plus 7. In the following scatter plot, blue X's are DC, the green triangles are attack bonus. So DC is 11 plus 1/2 CR. Armor class, this is important too. So armor looks like that. Expressed as a formula, this is very tidy. AC is equal to 13 plus 1/3 of CR. I'm glad you brought this up. Oh, maybe the raccoon language can be called wasp bear or wasp beer. I like that. Will I have about honey badgers? Oh. I don't know. I hadn't thought about them. So one of those is in. That's what was in. I looked up Reepicheep or Reepicheep. I looked him up and I saw him in the movie, and I think he was walking around with one of these, wasn't he? I don't know. I hadn't developed them. I hadn't thought about putting them in. The honey badgers. Because they're ferocious, resilient, not afraid of anything. Their skin are loose, so no one can hold them. And all the other animals are afraid of them because they go straight for the nuts. Huh. No, I have not thought about them. Hit points and damage. Okay, so what does it actually tell us over here? Here's the front card. So 5e monster manual on a business card. CR over here. AC HP, attack, damage, DC, and saves. Card back is AC plus or minus up to 3 based on the monster concept. HP plus or minus 50% based on concept. Reduce HP of monsters with damage avoiding abilities by the amount of damage they avoid over 3 rounds of combat. So reduce HP of monsters with damage avoiding abilities by the amount of damage they avoid over 3 rounds of combat. Attack plus or minus 2 based on concept. Damage plus or minus 50% based on concept. This is the damage budget for all attacks. Limited use attacks do 4 times the damage budgeted. Multi-attack attacks do 1/2. Multi-target attacks do 1/2. Limited use multi-attack targets do ×2. All other attacks ×1, including auras, reactions, varying lengths, and effects. DC, difficulty class plus or minus 2 based on concept. Save, bonus to a monster's best saving throw skills. So this is over here. Detail, add traits, resistances, immunities, vulnerabilities, non-damaging status stuff, and other details based on concept. All right. Sable Phoenix says, all this math makes sense when you think back to OD&D and BECMI and remember that monsters were all built on D8 hit dice and almost all of their other stats were derived from the amount of HD they had. Yeah, that's true. And they're supposed to live in a dungeon level numbered the same as their HD. Okay, so I'm going to have to stop here pretty soon. But let's see. Let's see if this helps us figure out some stuff about these raccoons then. In fact, I'm going to go back to all of these based on this right here. But let's take a look at these raccoons. So if we want the basic raccoon warrior to be AC1, not AC1, challenge rating 1, then that means that the AC should be about 13. And we have an armor class of 14. So, okay, we will. Wait. Why do I have an AC? What? Why do I have an AC of 14? A shield plus 2 dexterity. Oh, but I dropped the dexterity down 1. So that should be an AC of 13, which puts that exactly where that's supposed to be. That's interesting. So basic raccoon warrior has a shield and a +1 dex. So that puts him at 13. HP should be about 30. Okay, and we said 27 over here. So that checks out. Okay. Attack bonus should be about +4. And he's got a +4 to hit with his spear. And how much damage is he doing? Oh, but he's light on damage over here because he's only doing 5 points of damage with his spear. D6 +2. But damage can be plus or minus 50% based on concept. So maybe he's just light on damage. So that's still within the range. DC 11, saves +3. Do I actually not have saves on here? Neutron Master says, can raccoon language be called trash talk? I feel like that needs to be some type of special ability at least in there. Trash talk. PH says, check Honey Badgers out, maybe for later, as some kind of demon, LOL. You can find it here, videos of them facing lions, hyenas, etc. They just don't care. Okay, I'll look those up. I'll look that up. That sounds fun. So actually, am I missing saves? Where is the monster manual? Oh, down here. So, no, I'm looking at the stat block here. I didn't think I had missed something. So stat block includes armor class, hit points, speeds, skills, senses, languages, and challenge rating. And then special abilities and then actions. So where am I supposed to put the save? Maybe, I guess the stats are telling you that. I guess the stats are telling you that. Okay. So this should help us fix up a berserker then. So we're saying the berserker is going to be challenge rating 4. So he's a toughie. So if you're challenge rating 4, your AC is 13. I'm not doing well this morning. AC is 13 plus 1/2 of CR. Yeah, 13 plus 1/3 of CR. So it should be about 14. Berserker is 14. Okay, he's got +2 dex, so he's shield and +2 dex, so he's got an armor class of 14. Checks out. How many hit points should he have? HP should be 15 times CR plus 15. Well, that is a lot. 15 times CR, so 15 times 4, 60. That's 75. And I had 71 here. All right, so so he should have about, that's a lot of hit points. 15 times CR plus 15. Attack should be plus 1/2 CR. So he's got attacks bonuses of about +6. So is the Berserker attacking +6? Yes, he is. With the battle axe, he's attacking +6. So that checks out. Damage is 5 times CR plus 5. So damage, see, they're not dealing out a lot of damage. 5 times CR plus 5. He's only doing like 7 hits. So I guess what I'm supposed to have is, like, if we're creating some kind of monster, we're supposed to be having them have like tremendous bites at that level and a whole lot of things. We're not supposed to be using weapons. Because according to this, the CR4 should be doing 25 points of damage. That seems like a lot. Let me just make a note up here. So I'm going to have to stop here in just a moment. Is the damage underpowered? Or alternatively, maybe I move all of these guys down in CR. Maybe I move them down in CR. And that way you're fighting multiples. Maybe that's what I should do. So the raccoon warrior, maybe that's it. Maybe the raccoon warrior should move down to a fractional CR. Now, how do I want this to run? If you're fighting raccoons, you probably want them to be a bunch of them. So maybe move the raccoon warriors down to a lower CR. That would allow the berserkers to move down to a lower CR. So they don't have to deal as much damage and also have fewer hit points. And you could still have 2 or 3 berserkers led by one of the Huskarls. That's probably what needs to happen. And I do have a shaman. Neutromancer says, if I recall, one of the design philosophies for monsters was many smaller attacks better than a single large attack. Oh, you know what? So did I take into account, like, the Huskarl is making 2 attacks. So that's 1 hit. Like with a short sword, he's doing 10 points of damage, but he is getting 2 attacks. What about the Berserker? So I need to take that into account. So that's low. The damage was low, but it is multi-attack. So the Berserker makes 2 attacks with the battle axe. So when he's attacking with his battle axe, he is attacking for 10 points of damage. So that gets you up to 20. I don't know, lots on monster design philosophy. I've lost my other window. So that does give him 20 points of damage. So he's not actually that far off because he gets multi attack. To avoid swinginess and one-shot kill PCs. Yeah, so that's why also multi-attack. So I didn't think about that. So I was supposed to include the multi-attack in his damage. So that makes sense. So maybe they're a little bit better than I think they are. But still, I think actually going back through that and pushing them down all as CR is probably a better way to go. That way you can have large, because the raccoons are supposed to be operating a horde kind of anyway. So instead of encountering just one raccoon, even though that makes them intimidating, but go ahead and get lots of raccoons out there on the table. I think that's a good way to go. Let's see. We didn't get as far as I wanted to get. I'm gonna have to keep working on this offline because we do have rats, the snakes, the squirrels, the weasels. But I'm gonna keep attacking this off of line. I've got to get out of here. I've got a couple of things I've got to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here before, so I can do some things before Brianna and I talk. So, yeah, so I think that was the original idea when I was designing. That's why I think they were higher in CR. I think that was the idea. I think that's probably why it was them to. I think that was, yeah, I think that was the reasoning. All right. Well, definitely tell her we said hi. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning, and then we'll do a members only stream hangout tomorrow night then. And then that'll already be Thursday. And then Friday we'll be back at morning grind and dinner and a board game. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and also the help with all of this. So it was really great. So thank you so much. Be creative, be constructive today, and grind on.